named Peter. When he is watching TV, he comes across a show in which his relationship with Sarah, his actress girlfriend, is discussed. He writes the music for the show because she is the leading actress in it, and they appear to be happy together. He does, however, receive a call from Sarah, who informs him that she is on her way home. Sarah, on the other hand, informs him that they need to break up when she arrives. Peter is stunned and drops his towel as a result of the shock. He becomes enraged and asks if she has anyone else in her life, which Sarah denies. Despite his best efforts to hug it out with her, she confesses that she is seeing someone else, leaving him heartbroken. Peter meets his stepbrother Brian at the bar to vent about Sarah. Brian, on the other hand, believes Peter should let her go. As a result, Peter suggests sleeping with other women, and Brian agrees to assist him. Peter eventually returns home with one of the bar's female patrons. He starts crying after they've finished having sex because he remembers Sarah. Peter visits the doctor after a while to see if he contracted an STD from the woman. He does, however, advise Peter to sleep with as many women as possible in order to get over Sarah, which Peter does. Peter is unable to fully recover at home. Brian then visits his house, where he discovers Peter attempting to burn all of Sarah's photographs. They get into a fight when Brian tells him that Sarah is always rude to him. Brian, on the other hand, suggests that Peter take a vacation. As a result, he decides to travel to Hawaii, a destination mentioned by Sarah. Peter checks into a hotel in Hawaii a few days later. When he's greeted by Rachel, the receptionist, he tells her that he has no reservations. She then informs him that the only available room is $6,000 per night. He notices Sarah approaching him just as he says he can't afford it. Sarah is here with her boyfriend, which he learns from Rachel, much to his surprise. He tells her about the breakup and how he came here to get away from her, distraught. When Aldous, Sarah's new boyfriend, asks if he's following her, Rachel defends him by stating that he's booked 4 nights in the hotel. As a result, Sarah walks away. Peter expresses his gratitude to Rachel, who agrees to let him stay in the room if he cleans up after himself. Peter then calls Brian and tells him to go to a different hotel. Peter, on the other hand, believes it will make him appear cowardly. He does, however, keep an eye on them from their hotel room. At dinner, Peter is forced to sit across from Sarah and Aldous at the request of the host, Matthew. He then discovers that Aldous was a drug addict in the past. Meanwhile, behind Peter's table, a couple gets engaged. He then walks away, trailed by Sarah, who wonders if he followed her to Hawaii. He, on the other hand, denies it. When she inquires as to how long he will be staying, he says he'll be there for a while. The next morning, however, Peter decides to ask Rachel out, which Brain believes is a bad idea. Peter is about to ask Rachel out a few days later but decides against it. Matthew rises from his seat on stage to invite Aldous to perform. Aldous, predictably, agrees and then sings a sexual song about Sarah. Peter is irritated, so he walks to the beach, where he runs into the buffet guy. He asks Peter to assist him in the preparation of the pig for the evening meal. He agrees because he thinks he'll be able to assist in the preparation. But it turned out he was looking for assistance in killing it. He does, at the end of the day, ask Rachel out. Despite this, she rejects him because she prefers to remain friends. Rachel and Peter meet at the beach, where he learns that she moved to Hawaii for a guy. Despite the fact that he abandoned her, she is content in her current location. Rachel's ex shows up on the scene, looking for trouble. Fortunately, the buffet guy attacks her ex, allowing her and Peter to flee. Peter and Rachel then proceed to the bar, where she requests that he wait for her outside the bathroom. He tries to hold her bag for her, but she says he doesn't have to. Peter is then reminded of how Sarah used to let him hold her bag while she took photos. Rachel takes Peter to the hotel a short time later. She moves out of the way when he tries to kiss her because she told him she wants to remain friends. When Peter goes to the bathroom, he discovers a half-naked photograph of Rachel on the wall. Sarah learns the next day that her show has been cancelled, which she is disappointed about. But when she tells Aldous, he's overjoyed because she'll be joining him on tour. She's furious at Aldous for not informing her about the 18-month tour. As a result, she informs him that she is unable to attend due to a conflict in her schedule. He does, however, remind her that she is no longer employed. Sarah eventually walks away. After a while, Peter notices Sarah sitting alone at the bar. When he asks if she's okay, she tells him that her show has been cancelled. He does, however, manage to cheer her up by reminding her that she has a long career ahead of her. Later, Sarah witnesses Peter leaving with Rachel to go hang out, and she feels guilty about leaving him. Peter and Rachel arrive at the top of a cliff a few hours later. He apparently tries to kiss her again, but she jumps into the water in a playful manner. He gets caught on a rock while attempting to follow her. Fortunately, he is able to free himself, prompting Rachel to kiss him. Following that, Sarah approaches Rachel at her desk to inform her that she had seen her with Peter earlier. Sarah cries while telling Rachel that Peter is a good guy, despite Rachel's attempts to explain their relationship to her. She then walks away. Peter wakes up the next day to find the buffet guy standing over him. He then discovers that Dakota Fanning has reserved his room, and he must vacate it immediately. Following that, Peter goes beach surfing with Chuck, a surfer. He does, however, run into Aldous out there, where they discuss Peter's new song. Peter mentions that he and Sarah were together for 5 years when they talk about her. After that, Aldous informs Peter that he has been with Sarah for a year. Peter is enraged and demands that Aldous leave. Unfortunately, a wave knocks Peter over, and his surfboard injures Aldous. He passes out when he sees the blood gushing out. Peter wakes up in Sarah's room, and she's right next to him. He confronts her about cheating on him, hurt. She tries to explain to him, however, that he isn't her type because he is always introverted. He storms out of the room as a result. Sarah and Aldous are getting ready for dinner late at night. Aldous, on the other hand, is not wearing the shirt she gave him. Sarah then recalls all of the times she brought Peter clothes, which he proudly wore. Aldous is then forced to wear the shirt she bought for him, which he clearly dislikes. Following that, Peter and Rachel form a line in front of Sarah and Aldous. Matthew assigns the last table to Rachel and Peter invites Aldous and Sarah to join them. Sarah, it appears, agrees. Rachel and Aldous, on the other hand, are not pleased. After a while, Aldous tells everyone that his life philosophy is to have sex with as many people as possible. Naturally, Peter and Sarah disagree, and Sarah takes it out. Peter and Rachel wake up next to each other the next morning and decide to spend more time together. Following that, Peter is in a good mood when he runs into Aldous and learns that Aldous has broken up with Sarah. Peter, on the other hand, does not want her back. Peter visits Sarah in her room to see how she is doing. She finally snaps and begins to cry, expressing her desire for him to return. As a result, she tries to kiss him, but he turns her down. Nonetheless, when she apologizes for what she did, he gives in. They try to have sex, but Peter is no longer interested in her because he has feelings for Rachel. Following that, Peter goes to Rachel to confess what he did. She demands that he never call her again, as she is hurt. Peter returns to the bar a short time later and removes Rachel's picture from the bathroom. Despite the fact that the bartender scolds him for it, he refuses to give up. Before leaving the hotel, he returns to Rachel to give her the picture. Peter returns home from Hawaii a few weeks later. Unexpectedly, he completes his rock opera. Meanwhile, Rachel receives a flyer in the mail promoting Peter's play. She initially refuses to leave. However, the bartender persuades her that Peter loves her and that she should give him another chance. Peter is at the opening night of his rock opera a few days later. As a result, Peter notices Rachel in the audience, who is pleased to see that she still cares about him. His show, fortunately, is well received by the audience. After the show, he meets up with Rachel. He then invites her to hang out with him, which she readily accepts. She inquires as to why he never called her, to which he responds that it was her request. He inquires as to whether she still has his phone number. He then proceeds to the dressing room to remove his costume. She enters his dressing room as he tries to call Rachel. He tries to cover himself because he is naked. And this is where the movie comes to an end. I hope you enjoyed it. As always, until next time.